Welcome to Integers, lesson number 5, multiplying integers. So we've got addition and subtraction, that's in the rearview mirror now. We're going to look at the third basic operation, which is multiplication. Let's just jump right in with example number 1. Multiply the following integers, plus 3 times plus 2. Now you'll notice, I'm going to zoom in on this here. This is another way of saying multiplication. This little dot here, that's the same as saying multiply. It's just one of a different, it's just a different symbol for saying multiplication. The reason that we use it is because sometimes when we're starting to work with variables, which we're going to see in some upcoming units, x's and multiplies tend to look a lot alike. So this is a way for us to sort of safely say we're asking you to multiply these two integers together. So we have a positive 3 times a positive 2. Now let's take a look at the first hint. Hint number 1 says the product, which is like the result, the answer, of multiplying two positive integers is also positive. So I know, based on that hint, that if I have a positive integer, which I do, times another positive integer, which I do, that my result, my product, will also be positive. So first thing I did here was figure out what the sign of my product is going to be. A positive integer times a positive integer will have a positive product. So a positive times a positive gives me a positive answer, and 3 times 2 gives me 6. And that's how we go about multiplying integers that are both positive. Let's have a look at the second example. Example 2 says multiply the following integers, negative 5 times negative 2. And let's zoom in on that and look at the hint as well. So the product of multiplying two negative integers is also positive, interestingly enough. So I am going to highlight those. Here we have a negative first integer being multiplied by a negative second integer. And the hint has just told me that when I multiply two negative integers, my product, my result, is also positive. So that's the first thing I did. Negative integer times negative integer gives me a positive product. Once I've got the sign sorted out, I look to the numbers themselves, which are 5 times 2, that's going to give me 10. And that's the answer to example number 2. Lastly, let's take a look at example number 3. Again, multiply the following integers. This time we have minus 4 times positive 3. So this isn't like one that we've seen yet. We have a negative first integer followed by a positive second integer. Again, being multiplied. That's the little dot in between them there and in the one before it. That means multiply. So let's have a look at hint number 3, which says the product of multiplying two integers with different signs is negative. So when I look at this, I see the first integer is negative, the second integer is positive. Using that hint, I now know that my product, my result, will be negative. And once I've figured out the sign, then I look to the numbers themselves. 4 times 3 gives me 12. And that's the answer to example number 3. So let's quickly summarize what we've just talked about via the hints in examples 1 through 3 when we're multiplying integers with positive and negative signs. Let's see how it works out. So when we're multiplying integers with the same sign, that would be either two positive integers or two negative integers, you will have a positive product. The answer will be positive. Conversely, if you are multiplying integers with different signs, that might be a positive integer times a negative integer or a negative integer times a positive integer. The product, the answer, will be negative. So that's a summary of the first 3 examples. What I'd like you to do now is hit pause in the video here, and I'd like you to try example A on your own. So come on back when you've got an answer and we'll see how you did. Okay, let's get a look at this one. We're going to multiply these two integers, positive 1 times negative 9. So in looking at this, I see that my first term is, or my first integer rather, is positive, and my second integer is negative. And I recall that when I multiply integers with different signs, my answer is going to be negative. So I write down the negative first, and then I multiply the numbers themselves. 1 times 9 gives me 9. So hopefully that's what you got. Let's have a look at example B. Again, I'd like you to hit pause here. Try this one on your own. When you've got an answer, come on back and we'll see how you did. Okay, and looking at these two integers, we have a negative 6 multiplied by a negative 3. When we are multiplying integers with the same signs, the result, the product, is positive. And 6 times 3 is 18. So our answer is positive 18. That's example B. I'd like you now to hit pause, try example C on your own. When you've got an answer, come on back and we'll see how you did. Alright, you're back. Let's get a look at this. The first integer is negative, negative 2. Our second integer is positive, a plus 7. So we are going to multiply these two integers with different signs, and that is my clue. If I have different signs, my answer will be negative, and 2 times 7 gives me 14. And that's the answer for example C. Last example, this one is example D. Again, I'd like you to hit pause here in the video. When you got an answer, come on back, we'll see how you did. Alright, here we are. Grand finale. We have a positive integer multiplied by a positive integer. When we're multiplying two integers with the same signs, we are going to have a positive product, which is what I'm writing right now. So I've got the plus down. Now I multiply out the numbers. 4 times 5 gives me 20. And that is my answer. So this is the end of lesson number 5. If you're feeling good with this material, you can head right on to the worksheet, and we'll see you in lesson number 6.